What's up, Netflix fans, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I am counting down my top 5 personal favorite Netflix series of 2018, and I want to start by saying this and premise this entire video with the fact that I have not seen every show on Netflix, and I actually just started to really binge watch probably around August. Prior to that, I was focusing more on movies, but then I started binge watching these Netflix shows, and I'm like, you know what? I really enjoy this, so I watch show after show after show, and it's not just Netflix. Even though this is a Netflix video, there are some more streaming platforms out there with some shows that I have really enjoyed, and I just want to give them a shout out really quick, even though they're not going to be on this particular list, and that is The Handmaid's Tale, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel Season 2, Homecoming, and I'm putting Titans on this list. Now, I know Titans is releasing on Netflix in other countries, but when I watched it, it was on the DC streaming platform, so that will be left off of this list as well. Shows like Atypical and Lost in Space. Guys, there is so much television, so many things on these streaming platforms. It's really hard to watch all of it, but out of everything that I have watched personally today, I am giving you my top 5. But first, some honorable mentions, or really some shows that I watched, I enjoyed, and I want to give recognition to that's on Netflix. And my honorable mentions are Maniac, Narcos Mexico, Sabrina, and Castlevania Season 2. All of those released in the calendar year of 2018, and honestly, I enjoyed every single one of them. It's so hard to rank television shows because there's so much that goes into it, but I had to make a list. I had to make my personal top 5. Start commenting your list down below. What were your favorite Netflix shows? What were your least favorite? What were some ones that surprised you guys? And once again, I apologize for not watching as many shows as I should have. This is a top 5 instead of a top 10 for a reason, but I promise 2019 will be a huge year for Netflix shows. We start with A Series of Unfortunate Events Season 3, early January. Then we have The Punisher. But right now we're focusing on 2018. And let's get into number 5. So number 5 on my list is not one that is going to make everyone's list, because a lot of people, especially in the comments section of that video alone, told me, Austin, we prefer Season 1, we don't like Season 2 as much. And honestly, I prefer Season 1. After thinking about it and realizing how much better the characters were in Season 1, I like Season 1 of American Vandal a tad bit better, but that doesn't mean Season 2 is not good. Season 2 of American Vandal, it switched things up, it did things a little bit different, and brought us a story that I believe is on par with Season 1. While the characters aren't as interesting, they still managed to bring quite a bit to the table, and we get to follow our 2 lead characters that we grew to love in the first season around. They're getting the opportunity to flex their case-solving muscles, and they're trying their very best to solve this case while simultaneously filming this documentary. Now, let's premise this by saying we're not going to get any more of this show. American Vandal was canceled after Season 2, even though the critic reviews and the audience scores, everything was great. Apparently, the ratings didn't necessarily measure up to what they wanted them to. That's my guess. Who knows? Honestly, guys, I don't know why they canceled this show. This is such a well thought out show, and the more you dive deep into Season 2, the more you realize it's not just this dumb story about somebody who spread this stuff and all these kids started pooping on themselves. No, well, it is that. But it dives into the psyche of a teenager and what gives kids these impulses to bully other people, and it dives into relationships, and it really hits on topics. And that last episode, that last little monologue, I think is something that is very important. It's something that really engaged me and pulled me in. The reason that I am putting this above something like a Narcos Mexico or Sabrina is just because I related to all of these characters just a little bit more. It gave me a bit of a nostalgia feeling when you're dealing with things that happened in high school, and I had so much fun with American Vandal Season 2 when I did not expect to, because how do you manage to live up to Season 1? Well, they kind of did it, and I really enjoyed Season 2. Once again, a personal list. It's probably not going to make your top 5, but it did for me. Next up is Season 2 of a show that I have been watching and enjoying, something that is full of surprises and twists and turns. It is really the modern Breaking Bad being my favorite show of all time. I love that show, and I am really starting to love Ozark. And we are talking Season 2 of that show because that's the season that released in 2018. And I do believe Season 2 measured up to Season 1. And after I thought about it, I even believe that Season 2 is better than Season 1. We get to grow even more with these characters. There are some very unexpected events that happen in the second half of this season, and one in particular that I know if you guys have seen the show, do not spoil it in the comments because it's a big deal, but weren't you just like, oh my gosh. Now, I was a little late to season 2. I didn't get a chance to review it on this channel. I watched it weeks after it came out because I still had to finish season 1, but once I finished season 1, I was able to wrap that up and kind of dive into these characters once again, and I really just started to realize how big of a star Jason Bateman is to carry this show, not on his shoulders necessarily because I really like all of the acting in here, but to carry this show and make it what it is and give us that vibe that, oh, he can be a good guy, but he's turning into something that's not necessarily what he was at the beginning of this show. I love that vibe. I love what they do with this show. I cannot wait to see what happens in season 3, and Ozark is one that's worth watching. At number 3, one that I did not anticipate being on this list. I didn't even know what it was. I heard from my friend Ryan Snelling on Twitter. He's like, oh gosh, you guys have to watch Bodyguard. I'm like, what is Bodyguard? Apparently this released overseas, and it got a Netflix release, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward a little bit, and I'm in episode 2, 3, and I'm like, wow, Bodyguard is really great. I get to the end of episode 6, and I believe Bodyguard is one of the best shows on Netflix. Not just on Netflix, but in like the entire television sphere. If we're talking quality, if we're talking technical aspects, film style, script, plot, characters, all of these characters are fleshed out. Our main guy, I love this guy. I love everything that he does, but he really works his magic in Bodyguard. You are on board from that opening moment when he is trying to stop that bomb on that train. You are locked in all the way until the end when all of those unexpected events happen. My goodness, guys, that final episode, woo, tension was high. And I love a show that can build intensity, that can build tension. That's exactly what Bodyguard did. This was one of the most surprising things in general that I saw in 2018. And if you have not seen it, please, it's only 6 episodes, very short. Go check this show out because it's 100% worth your time. Oh, we get into more frustration. I've already talked about American Vandal. That's no more. And now we're talking about the one that had the internet up in flames. No, not Iron Fist. No, not Luke Cage. Even though I wanted more of those shows, I'm talking about Daredevil. This show has been officially canceled after maybe the greatest season of a superhero show I have ever seen. Daredevil Season 3 was as close to perfect when you're talking about a Daredevil storyline as you could possibly get in live action. When they are saying, oh, we're going to bring Daredevil back. Well, not Charlie Cox, but the character. I don't want to see that. I want to see Charlie Cox back as this character. More things started to come out. We started to realize, okay, maybe it wasn't this company that canceled it. Maybe it was just this happened and that happened. And there's still a chance that the Marvel streaming service can bring Daredevil back. That has not been debunked. I just really wish it was able to finish out its run on Netflix because that's where it can remain dark. It's where it can remain gritty, and that's what this show is all about, especially that final episode, that final battle with Bullseye and Kingpin. And if we're talking about Bullseye and Kingpin, the development of their characters in this season, it reminded me of a Joker Two-Face relationship in The Dark Knight, how he kind of molded Bullseye into this villain. He changed his character, and by the end, we got a really good setup for a season 4. And it's so disappointing that we may not even see that. Oh, it completely blows my mind. But Charlie Cox as Daredevil, all of the storylines, that one-take fight scene, I believe, in episode 4 is still one of the coolest things I have seen on a television platform all year, guys. Daredevil Season 3 was awesome. It's my second favorite Netflix show of the year, and it's very, very close to number 1. But number 1 still has to be... That's right, you guessed it, the one that everyone was talking about for weeks and months, and they're still talking about to this day, and that is The Haunting of Hill House. This is my favorite show of the year. This show blew me away. Now, my only issue with it is the ending was a little bit underwhelming. The last episode did not knock it out of the park, but every episode prior, every character that we were able to dive deep into, every story aspect, every plot line, all of it hit so hard that that when we got to that ending, I'm like, you know what? That's a way to wrap it up. Not what I would have done necessarily, but that's fine. The fact that it's still my favorite show over Daredevil, over Bodyguard, over Mrs. Maisel and Handmaid's Tale. We're throwing in the other shows because if I was ranking all of these shows, it would be in a different order because I really enjoyed some of the Hulu shows, some of the Amazon shows, but I did not watch enough of those to make their own individual lists. I did watch enough on Netflix, and out of everything that I saw, Haunting of Hill House had the biggest impact on me personally. It managed to do what most horror movies have not done. It managed to scare me. It managed to make me hold on to my seat. It managed to make me sit down and binge watch the first show that I binge watched in 2018. That's right, Haunting of Hill House allowed me to sit down and experience the binge, and from that point on, I'm like, you know what? I don't mind binging Bodyguard or Daredevil because Haunting of Hill House was so engaging, and that, 10 hours flew by pretty quickly. And I don't just love it because it's scary and because it has good characters. I love it because of the filmmaking. That one episode where there is just one take and you get to explore all of these family dynamics with this camera continuously moving and no cuts. That is filmmaking 101. I watched the behind the scenes to that episode. It was so incredible to watch that. Mike Flanagan, you have done something here that is so awesome. I can't wait to see what you do next. I can't wait to see more and more people watch this show, talk about it with them, whether it's at work or with my wife or with my friends. Haunting of Hill House is one of those Stranger Things-esque shows, and that to me is the show to beat in 2018. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I do think the majority are going to enjoy it. So to count it down one more time, we have American Vandal Season 2, Ozark Season 2, Bodyguard, Daredevil Season 3, and The Haunting of Hill House. That is my personal favorite in order from my least favorite to my most favorite, but there is no least favorite in this situation. I liked all of those shows. I enjoyed all of my honorable mentions. There are so many things to watch right now, and I know I left a lot out. Look, if I left it out and it's an incredible show, most likely I did not watch it because, like I said, my focus was on movies for so long, and then finally I started watching these television shows, and I'm like, you know what? This is actually really, really worth my time, and I really enjoy doing it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. One more major countdown left in 2018, and that is my most anticipated movies of 2019. That is probably going to drop New Year's Eve in the morning, so be on the lookout for that. And I'm going to go watch Vice at some point. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. You are the absolute best, and I'll catch you later.